Coming up on today's edition of the Art Marketing Podcast, we are talking about 4 prompts that pull your story out, even if you think you don't have one. And specifically, this is a combo episode because I'm going to combine everything I've been teaching you guys. I'm going to build on the Van Gogh story episode. I'm going to build on prompts that you can use as an artist and a photographer. And then I'm going to build on files inside of folders at your disposal to use anytime. So let's go. And I'm actually really excited about this because to me, this is probably one of the best ways to leverage AI is when you start layering it and realizing all the amazing things that it can do. But for those that maybe are just listening to this episode, not the earlier one, I shared an amazing video a guy made about Van Gogh. Okay. And specifically how Van Gogh's art was going nowhere. It wasn't selling. It wasn't selling based on how good the art was. It only sold and it only became a phenomenon until his book of letters was published, which are basically all the stories about the art that went with the art. The individual letters corresponded to individual pieces of art. Once society at large read those things, then he exploded into what is like one of the most valuable art collections in the entire world. After I dropped that episode, I got a large number of comments, okay? And the theme of them was, if there's a book of all his letters, he lived a really sad life. As for everybody having a story, mine is far from dramatic. Not sure it would grab anyone's attention. I've probably gotten 10, 15, 20 different comments like that. Going, I don't have a story like that. And I get it. Like, I totally get it, right? Van Gogh had tragedy, cut his ear off. He was in a mental hospital. Frida had a bus accident. Basquiat was sleeping on park benches. And you're sitting in your studio in suburban Ohio thinking, what's my story? Here's the thing, though. Van Gogh didn't think his story was dramatic either. He was a broke painter writing sad letters to his brother. The drama came after because someone articulated it. Your story is already there. You just can't see it. So today, I'm going to show you how to find it, how to pull it out, how to save it, so you never have to stare at a blank page again. So you never have to exist in a space that says, I don't really have that interesting of a life or a story or any of the above, because we all do. We all do. It's this notion of, in business, they say, are you working on the business or are you working in the business? And the idea is if you're so wrapped up in the day-to-day of the business, you're working in it, you're not working on it. Stated another way, you can't read the label from inside the bottle, can you? You're too close to your own story to see it. Everything about your life likely feels ordinary to you because you're the one that's lived it. But a collector or a fan on social media that might be standing in front of your work or looking at it and admiring it, that is the stuff, you guys. The story is the stuff that makes them pull out their wallet, okay? And it's not necessarily that they want drama or they want some crazy story about how you cut your ear off. They want connection. They want to know why you paint what you paint, why you shoot what you shoot, why this medium, why these subjects. And I had to go into the art history books for this and do some research because I think there's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun, right? Like, I think history is full of artists that you would have thought that probably would have said the exact same thing as all those comments. So I don't really have an interesting story. I live a very boring, mundane life. I don't get out much. My town's got nothing going on. So I felt this was probably going to be a good time for some historical anecdotes. So let's talk about Edward Hopper. Those empty diners, lonely gas stations. The silent hotel rooms aren't about America. Hopper was legendarily introverted. His wife once said, talking with Eddie is like dropping a stone in a well, except it doesn't thump when it hits bottom. That's deep. He painted his own isolation, and he projected it out into the country. That's not drama. That's a quiet guy who liked being alone. That was his story, and we've all seen that art. There's a guy named Giorgio Morandi. He painted the same dusty bottles, vases, and bowls for 40 years. Barely left his apartment in Bologna in Italy. Lived with his 3 sisters, never married, left Italy 3 times in his life, let dust collect on his objects on purpose to subdue their color. So left things messy. And he won the first prize at the Venice Biennale, painting bottles. What was his dramatic story? He didn't have one. He had bottles and patience, and that was enough for him. There's a story of the photographer William Eggleston growing up in the Mississippi Delta. He told a friend there was nothing worth photographing because everything was ugly. The friend said, okay, photograph the ugly stuff. He had a 1976 MoMA show, gas stations, grocery store ceilings, suburban driveways, that was savaged by critics at the time as banal, and is now considered one of the most important photography exhibitions ever mounted. His story was that he was bored in Mississippi. That's it. That was his story. It wasn't any more sophisticated than that. And I think the pivot for all of it, it's, do you paint or shoot landscapes because you grew up somewhere beautiful? That could be the story. Do you paint portraits because you're fascinated by faces? That's the story. Did you not start making art until your kids left home? That's the story. Do you work in a particular medium because you discovered it by accident? That's the story. The mundane is the story. You just need someone to ask you the right questions, okay? You need someone to prompt you. See what I did there? Double. To prompt you to get these stories out of you, okay? And then you need to be able to quickly leverage these stories. And I'm going to show you how. I got a couple more interesting examples. I want to rattle through this. Do any of these things sound like you? The late starters. Alma Thomas taught art in D.C. public school, 38 years. Didn't begin painting seriously until she retired at 68. At 80, she became the first African-American woman to have solo exhibitions at the Whitney. Her story wasn't, I always knew I was an artist. Her story was, I taught other people's kids for almost 4 decades. And when I finally had time for myself, I made up for every lost minute. If you started late, it's not a weakness. That's your story. You chose this when you didn't have to. Something in life brought you to it. And now that you're here, you're rocking. The unlikely path. Gordon Parks, youngest of 15 kids. Grew up in poverty and segregation in Kansas. Mother died when he was 16. He survived as a janitor, piano player, a waiter. Bought his first camera at a pawn shop for $7.50 after seeing photo essays in a magazine left behind on a train. Entirely self-taught. Became first black photographer for Life magazine. Later directed Shaft, a $7.50 camera and magazine on a train. That's how a career starts sometimes. So if you came to art through an unusual path, that is the path. That is the story. Nobody else walked it. It's yours, and it's interesting. The obsession, the Monet one is awesome. He didn't just paint the water lilies, right? He bought the garden first, bought land, diverted a river. He planted these things himself, and then he painted them 250 times over 31 years. 250 times. Apparently, like, cars would drive by and kick dust on his lilies, and he would get all fried out at that. So he had a road paved. He paid to have a road paved. I'm not sure he paid for that, but he did. And he stayed at this place through both world wars. Said, if they must kill me, I will be in the middle of my canvases. So if you're obsessed with this subject matter, that obsession is magnetic. People want to understand why you can't stop painting it, why you can't stop photographing it. Dorothea Lange. It wasn't so long ago that I was in undergraduate school and I had to study Dorothea Lange. Contracted polio at age 7, left her with a permanent limp for life. She said it was the most important experience she ever had. It made her an outsider, an observer. The limp gave her empathy that produced Migrant Mother, one of the most recognized photographs in American history. Your perspective is your story. The way you see the world from differently than everyone else. It's like that difference is the whole point. So you look at those stories, and I know they're all famous artists, right? Famous artists that we all know, that the world knows. But the point is, they all had stories. Their stories are no different than your stories. It's just the articulation. It's just the telling them, okay? And so this is where AI comes in. This is where AI is absolutely our friend. We are going to leverage AI to be your story archaeologist, okay? We know you have a story, but you can't pull it out yourself. You're standing too close to it. But you've lived your life every day. It all feels normal to you. Asking an artist to write their own story is like asking a fish to describe water. I get that. I'm trying to do this for a long time with you guys. And that's why AI is just perfect for this. AI doesn't get bored. AI doesn't judge. AI doesn't let you off the hook with, I don't know, I just like painting. It keeps asking why, 5 levels deep, a really good interviewer. And it doesn't have the awkwardness of sitting across from a human and talking about yourself. One of the episodes that I got a ton of feedback from you guys was learn to prompt. I know you like the prompts. I know if I just give you the prompts, you're going to plug the prompts in and you're going to use them. So that's wonderful, right? Also in the previous episode, I taught you about how context is everything if you use it, if you have these context files. So I knew I had to wrap all of these things in a bow and have them ready to go. Have them ready to go for you because your business DNA, so to speak, in files that are in folders will completely change the game and help you get going on the story. Because I know most of you don't want to think about it when you're doing social media. You don't want to think about it when you're doing an email. You don't want to think about it when you're writing an email to a collector, writing a bio, filling out website copy, whatever the case may be, right? It's just so important. So I want to connect those two episodes, okay? We are going to use AI to interview you. It's going to pull out story, your story, and then we're going to save those files as context so that every single solitary time you're interacting with AI, you've got these files in a folder. You can throw them in and start talking about it. And I'm going to put all of these prompts, okay? It's not one giant prompt. It's a series. I'm going to put all of them into the show notes. Each one is going to dig into a different angle of your story, okay? And you're going to just talk to it like you're talking to a friend at a coffee shop. It's going to ask follow-ups, okay? You answer honestly. Be vulnerable. Do not be guarded when you do this. They're your files, okay? And that's it. That's literally it. At the end, you're going to have a story written, and one that actually sounds like you, okay? It sounds like you. So get into the show notes and steal all 4 of these, right? I want to walk through and talk about each one, though. So prompt 1, I want to start with the origin story, okay? And here's the prompt, and I quote, I am an artist / photographer. You put in whatever you want. I am an artist and I need help discovering and articulating my story. I want you to interview me. Ask me questions one at a time. Wait for my answer. Then ask a follow-up that digs deeper. Start with how I got into art. Don't accept surface level answers. If I say I've always liked drawing, ask me when and where and what I was drawing and why. Keep going until you feel like you have enough material to write a compelling origin story. Then write it for me in first person in a warm, conversational tone, not a formal bio. Something I could read on a podcast or put on my website. Keep it under 300 words. Now, seems simple enough, right? Why that works in practice? The AI is going to ask, when did you start first making art? And you're going to say, I don't know, I was a kid. And it'll push back and it says, okay, well, what were you making? What were you drawing, painting, photographing? Were you building things? It'll really poke and prod and get in there. And it's not going to let you off the hook. It's okay. I used to draw horses in the margins of my school book. And now we're somewhere. Why horses? Where did you grow up? Was there a horse, a book, a person? That's how the stories get pulled out. Not by staring at a blank page, but by answering questions. Prompt 2, the why this interview. Now I want you to interview me about why I create what I create. Ask me about my subject matter, my medium, my style. Dig into why I chose these. Was it intentional or did I stumble into it? Is there a personal connection to my subjects? Don't let me get away with, I just like it. Help me find the deeper reason. When you have enough, write a short paragraph, 150 words max, I can use when someone else asks, why did you photograph that particular subject? So this is like riffing on the Monet one, okay? And I hacked at these, and you guys, they're good. These things are good. It might not seem like much. It will painfully, in some cases, extract from you guys the awesome story I know absolutely everyone has, right? All of you guys should be able to answer those, and it really will. It'll force out some of the great stuff. Prompt 3, the piece story. And so this can be on an individual piece of art. You can do this for one piece to start out with. You can do it for 30, okay? You can really get in depth with this. And the best thing is, too, the more of these things become files inside of folders, the more you can reference and the more detail the AI will have to help you tell your story better of why you do things, okay? Prompt 3, the piece story. I'm going to describe but one specific piece of art I've made. I want you to interview me about it. Where I was when I made it. What was happening in my life. What I was feeling. Why I chose the composition, colors, subjects. Then write me a story. 100 to 150 words. I could use as the caption or description for this piece, make it personal and specific, not generic art speak. Not generic art speak. You're going to love this one. You're going to use this one the most. Every piece has a story. Even if it's I painted this on a Tuesday when my kid was finally napping and I had 90 minutes. That's a story. A parent who carves out 90-minute windows to create. That's human. That connects. Okay. Prompt 4, the bio generator. Based on everything that we've discussed in this conversation, write my artist bio in 3 versions: 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, full page. Use a warm conversational tone. Avoid art world jargon. Make it sound like me, not like a museum placard. Boom. Okay. Boom. After you're done, you save all of these files. Okay. And it's really easy. You can export them as PDFs. You can ask GPT to save it as a canvas. You can ask Claude to save it as an artifact. You can ask Grok to save it as Markdown. You can ask Gemini. It just gives you like an export button where you can save Markdown. But in any of the cases, get the answer. Okay. If you don't know how to use AI and you're like, I don't know how to save this, ask the AI, how can I save that as a file? Okay. And it will do it for you. Then you're going to save these files into folders. I love the files folders things. You can obviously tell. Once you have these files in the folders, you're never going to start from zero ever again. You will never be having generic, non-impactful conversations with the AI again. It'll immediately know who you are, know what your jam is, know who you are, know why, and it'll be able to expand. It'll be able to ask better questions, right? You could even argue with these prompts. Do prompt number 1, save the document. Do prompt number 2, save the document. Do prompt number 3, save the document. Do prompt number 4, save the document. It'll have all of those. It will finish. Then when you're going to come back again, give them all 4 of those documents and then do a piece, an additional piece, right? So you save these things, okay? And in ChatGPT, you can put it into a project, call it My Story. Same thing for Claude. Art Helper's got a spot for that already. Grok lets you do projects. Gemini, what do they call them? Gems, I think. So it doesn't matter which one you use, free or paid. And what changes you guys when you do this is every time you're doing anything in relation to your art business and the AI has the opportunity to go and grab story, it will grab story. It will weave it in. It will weave it in places you didn't even think was possible. Okay. It will spice up every single solitary interaction you have. It will it will force you. It's like putting Barbara Walters in your living room. Okay. That's how powerful it can be. It's like you're going to be interviewed in depth with the cameras, the whole deal, and stuff is going to come out of you. You're going to be like, damn it, he was right. I do have a story. And it actually is interesting. I forgot about that because that whole notion of you can't read the label on the bottle because you're inside of it, I think is true. I think we all have these stories. Wait till you see how powerful these are. Wait till you see how fundamentally it changes the output of what you get when you leverage AI, when you're in there using the superpower smart machine. So get into the show notes. Wherever you're watching this, it will be right in the description. You can copy these prompts. You can get going and you can start exposing your story, who you are, why you create. As meta as this sounds, the further I go down the rabbit hole in AI, the better I see it do what it does. The more I realize how easy it is to generate images, how easy it is to generate videos. Now there's video editing you can do right from the text box. If you don't have story, it is like Sisyphus. You're pushing something uphill just to end up right back to where you were. The story is going to what sets you apart from AI-generated stuff. The story is going to make you human. That's going to get you bonded with your audience, people that want to know you and want to do business. The story is just becoming more and more popular, more and more popular, more and more powerful is really what I'm going to say. So I want all of you working on it. I want all of you to have context files. If you do, you telling your story is going to be easier. You building on your story is going to be easier. You going deep into the weeds of why you do what you do is going to be easier, and you're going to extract more, and you're going to save more files, and then all of a sudden, you are going to be a story machine, which is what we're looking for. So on that note, thanks for listening, and as always, have a great day.